What's up, Warriors fans? It's your main man, Max, here for Warriors Latest. As always, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell as I do post new Warriors videos daily. Now, it's been an interesting weekend in Dub Nation, both good news and bad news. And just as a fan, I like the good news, but I got annoyed by the bad news. Now, let's start with the good news. I mean, the Kings are finally looking maybe to end the protections that they have on that draft pick that they offered for Jonathan Kuminga. Now, I saw that deal. I'm not overly fond of it versus, say, the Suns deal for Kuminga with Royce O'Neal, Nick Richards, and maybe some second round picks versus what the Kings offer in Malik Monk and right now a protected 2030 pick. And I don't know how I feel about a 2030 pick. That is way down the line, and we don't know where that's going to be. Yes, odds are the Kings are going to screw this up. They've been a dumpster fire franchise since 2006. I mean, think about it. The Kings got their first playoff appearance in 2023 since 2006, only to lose to the Warriors, and then it just goes straight downhill. They fire their coach, who won Coach of the Year in 2023, had one of the best offenses in the league, and replace him with an old Kings legend in Doug Christie, and then they keep Doug Christie on. Now, Doug Christie has no experience as a coach, but he did an okay job to finish things out after they fired Mike Brown. I don't see them getting any better, so I'm not 100% certain that this protection on the pick is going to be good for the Warriors. This is why I hope that they really do end those protections, or at least find ways to work with Phoenix to get more draft capital on top of what they're offering, because I just see Kuminga doing very well in Phoenix. I mean, like I said before, Jalen Green at the 1, Devin Booker at the 2, Jonathan Kuminga at the 3. You got 2 shooters and a guy who loves to attack the basket. That is something that is a good workable offense, especially for the Suns, who I want to say ever since they went to the finals in 21, they haven't really been that same team. Yes, they brought in Durant. Yes, they brought in Bradley Beal, but both of those guys are gone. And they don't really have much to show for bringing them in. I mean, they gave up a ton of draft picks along with Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. It was bad news from the start when they brought in Durant. So I would like to see them do well, and I want Kuminga at least to go to Phoenix where he can actually thrive, because we look at the offer that's being presented now. Now, the other side of the deal that the Warriors have offered, aside from a trade, is that 2-year, $45 million deal, and the thing that's holding that up is obviously the implied no-trade clause, because they can, if you sign I believe it's a 1 or 2-year deal, you have an implicit no-trade clause where you could just veto trades to anybody, and let's be honest, that's going to be problematic come deadline time and say the Warriors aren't fitting. They can't move Kuminga without his permission. So if they're going to keep him, they do have to get past that implied trade restriction. So I like the good and the bad mixed with that, but I do want a deal done eventually. But speaking of deals, and this is another part of the good news, the buyout market is starting to heat up now that training camp is coming up in a few weeks, and teams really want to get their rosters really settled and know who they're playing with moving forward. And I actually heard the craziest candidate, and that was Nikolai Vucevic. The Bulls are actually thinking of buying him out. Now, you know me, I've talked about the Warriors trading for him, trading Moody, trading Buddy Hield in exchange for him. Haven't really gotten much dice on that because he is an expiring contract, and I think that plays into the Warriors' timeline. But too much traction, not enough traction, it doesn't really matter. But with a buyout, he comes to the Warriors for next to nothing. And considering where their financial situation is, that couldn't be the worst thing in the world bringing him in. Yes, he is a little questionable on defense. Okay, he isn't a consistent shooter from 3, but he did hit 40% this year. And there are questions whether he can actually keep that up. I think personally he can, just because we look at a guy like Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez was a similar guy to Vucevic, an inside the paint kind of guy, and was really just going the way of the dinosaurs when the league changed to three-point shooting dominance. And what he did was completely reinvent himself in the latter part of his career to become one of the best three-point shooting centers there is. And now that he's over with the Clippers, he's going to bring the heat from downtown. So I do see that going well. But bringing in Vucevic is going to bring you that guy in the paint. I'm looking at his numbers. It's 18 and 10. And if you have an 18 and 10 guy in the paint, even at a low dollar cost, you can't ask for much more. And he's just going to be that guy who can really just bang with like Joker, bang with Rudy, bang with Isaiah Hartenstein, and just really muscle his way with, say, even Ivan Zubac and DeAndre Ayton come playoff time. But my biggest concern is still the Warriors still haven't done anything. They do have to continue to attack the market and at least gauge interest from different players, because they're not going to win a championship with the roster as it is. Now, we know this isn't going to be the roster going into training camp, but it's just a little unnerving. But I do like how the buyout market is really, really, really heating up. I mean, I want to see who else really comes out, but the biggest name, as I've said, has been Nikolai Vucevic. I know there are going to be other guys, like I said, LeBron James coming out of the market. He's like, yeah, I'm not really too fond of this whole 2-year rebuilding effort, especially after Luka Doncic just got that extension from the Lakers, where they're pretty much going to give him an even bigger extension down the road. So I could definitely see LeBron, once he gets back from wherever he's vacationing, to say, all right, Rob, let's get a deal done. How can we get me out of here? I've had my fun. You guys are obviously going a different direction. Let's make something happen. But I get the feeling that's not going to happen until later this month. As they say, it's the dog days of August, and things can be slow in the NBA. But it looks like the buyout market isn't going to be. But now we're on to the bad news, and this one really hurt. Really hurt me down to my soul, and that's Brandon Boston Jr. And he decided, instead of staying in the NBA and keep pursuing that NBA dream, which I hope he would have, he decided to go to Europe. And I believe he signed with Fenerbahce. I don't know if that's the right way to say the name. It's the way I've been saying it for a long time. But they're a powerhouse league, or a powerhouse team in the EuroLeague. And I'm frustrated because he is that guy that has star potential down the road. And for him to go over to Europe instead of staying in the NBA, yes, there's more physicality in Europe versus the NBA, but the talent pool is still better within the NBA, and it would have helped him improve more. Yes, I understand. All right, he got a good deal from the EuroLeague, and end of the day, you got to make money. There's no doubt about that, but I was so stoked. I was hoping so hard to see the Warriors sign him, develop him, and turn him into a star. And now that he's signed, that only leaves Amani Bates as one of the young, great buy low options. So fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed, because I want to see them at least get one. They lost out on Juzang to the Timberwolves. They lost out on Boston to the EuroLeague. Amani Bates, I believe, is still out there. Please, for the love of God, bring him in, because he is destined to be a great player in the NBA. Only if the situation is right for him, and I 100% believe that the Warriors are that right situation. Like I said before, going into the 21-22 season, he was the unquestioned number 1 overall pick on all the mock draft boards going into Memphis. Yeah, he had some off-the-court issues, but I feel like he's really taken care of them and done well to really develop as a player and as a person. But it's up to Mike Dunleavy and Joe Lacob to make the move and bring him in, because he's going to cost next to nothing, and you better get him before somebody else does. Now, bottom line is, especially like with the dog days of August, is stay or go. They got to do something with Jonathan Kuminga. Enough is enough. At this point, you're just nitpicking. As Kendrick Perkins said last week, letting this play out, we're in week 6 of free agency, has it's really killed the Warriors' reputation as an organization. Like, prior to Mike Dunleavy coming here and prior to this summer, the Warriors were known as a great organization to play for. Now, I don't know what the consensus is on what the Warriors are. They just played hardball with Jonathan Kuminga for the last, I want to say, last year, maybe 10, 12 months. And this includes going back to the extension talks in like September and October of last year. So it's frustrating to see. And it's like they're shooting themselves in the foot. You just got to find a way to rid yourself of the situation, regardless of what you can get, and just keep moving forward. Like I always say, Steph's window is this season and next season. That's it. After that, it's game over. Time to reset. Time to rebuild. Completely just go after that. Not just the draft class, but go after the free agency class and bring players in. Think about this. Remember back in the day, the Knicks had a ton of cap space, yet no one would sign for them because they had such a bad culture. Right now, that's what the Warriors are doing by letting this Kuminga thing linger. They're creating bad culture. Yes, Steph can have as much goodwill as he wants, even though the stuff he said about being underpaid isn't going to endear himself to any fans, and he may lose some fans in the process. So I'll get to that another time, but the fact that they're on a downward trend in terms of culture and being a place that players want to come to. Remember, in 2016, the Warriors had such a good culture that they attracted Kevin Durant to come play for them. And nobody even thought about the Warriors getting Durant. We thought it was Oklahoma City or Boston. But the Warriors just came in there, snuck in, and stole Durant from the Thunder and the Celtics right under their noses. So we know how great cultures look. But the Warriors still need to get past this. They need to really stop killing themselves or killing the culture and keep moving forward. Now, that's all I have to say for today. As always, like, subscribe, and feel free to comment below, as I love hearing your ideas for what the Warriors should do to get better. And as always, go Dubs.